You are listening to the Eskimo Empire Podcast, a proud member of the Canadian Football Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Empire. It's the Eskimo Empire Podcast.
Here's Mike Riley, takes the drop, waits and throws, and he's going deep downfield. And Darius Bowman. Oh my goodness, what a catch by Darius Bowman. You won't see many better than that. Franklin to Zylstra, touchdown Eskimos. Pressure's coming. Oh, Levi Mitchell goes down. There's a big play for the defense. Somersaults for everybody.
Welcome back to the Turf District for episode 102 of the Eskimo Empire Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew, and thank you again for downloading and having a listen. Make sure you do the same for all of the great Canadian Football Podcast Network shows, and you can find all the links to those at CF Pod Network on Twitter and, of course, their Facebook page. We have a lot on the show for you as we will cover all of the CFL games from last week, including the fire trucking disaster for the Eskimos, another Eskimo history segment, some Esks and CFL news, our pick'ems for this week, and we are joined by another amazing featured fan. Joining me as always, though, and might still be drinking from Friday night, it is Superfan Mike. How are you, man?
Well, looks like I picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Oh, let's talk about the positive first. Let's do the positive first. Tailgate poutine.
That was excellent.
It turned out way better than I thought it was going to.
Well, absolutely. I give most of the kudos to your gravy making skills.
My gravy was amazing. It only cost me $20.
There you go.
And it was 4 large KFC gravy containers.
Yeah,
it worked out great. I mean,
my God, that's what we'll do is I'll don't worry about the fries and the curds. I'll take care of that. You just take care of the gravy. Drive through. Worked out pretty well, though, I would say. Well.
Made it taste really good, though. Mm-hmm. I gotta say, made it taste really good. One of the other cool things on Friday is that we did talk to a bunch of the players after the game. Of course, we met Kwaku, and he signed up the shirts for some of us that had our shirts, and got some pictures taken, and Kwabena Asari was there, and man, that guy's funny.
He's a funny guy.
Yeah, and he was really... my favorite part is when he says to me, he goes, "Oh, it's really great to meet you. I'll stay here and do the picture because I'm really looking for my free Earthquake t-shirt."
Yes.
And I said, "Oh, well, you want a shirt?" He goes, "Wait. No. Let me say that again. I would really like my free Earthquake shirt." I'll see what I can do for you, Kwabena. So I'm glad he got that. And great chat with Ryan King as well. And I think we've found our next t-shirt idea for when he is healthy.
Absolutely. Yes. I can't wait for that one to come out.
Exactly. Soon enough, we will have Return of the King, snapping wins championships as always. Anyway, no, it was just great to meet all the guys and get a chance to chat with them afterwards.
Yeah, it was also great to see there's a lot of fans there, a lot of kids there, which was great. I always love seeing the kids hanging around, getting to meet some of their heroes. And that's really what they are to not only the little kids, but the big kids like us. So
exactly.
I'm sure we all remember meeting players when we were young and the positive effect it has on them. So, good for the guys for coming out, and even after a bad loss, still being able to make time, make jokes, smile, and make the kids feel appreciated.
Absolutely, and I got my jersey signed.
And speaking of kids feeling appreciated,
exactly. Oh, it was so nice. Thanks, James. Yeah, appreciate that. Yep.
Exactly.
20 extra points for you, buddy.
Get into school, girl.
That's right. It looks really good. He did a good job.
He did.
Yeah, I'm very proud of it. That's fantastic. All right, let's get to our guest. He's sitting there so patiently. I know he's waiting to jump right in there. Welcome, first-time featured fan to the Turf District. It is Ben. How you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm ecstatic to be here.
Awesome. Well, we're very glad you're here.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, you're Ben the Eskimo on Esks Fans. That's kind of how we met.
Yeah.
And which is kind of cool that some of these other interactions are now turning into people on the show, which is fantastic.
Yeah, actually, I think I met Ben the same day I met you.
Oh yeah, at the
Spruce
first
Grove,
2015, right?
Yeah,
the 2015 training camp. So that's pretty cool. Yeah.
There we go.
So I guess I'll start with the same question we ask every fan, which is, how did you kind of fall in love with the Eskimos, and where did that come from? And did you ever play ball?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it's been absolutely a lifelong thing. Like, my dad still to this day talks about taking me to the stadium as an infant, as, you know, one, 2, 3-year-old, as a little kid, watching me run up and down the stairs, and he always gives me heck for making him miss out on the games.
As a good parent should.
Yeah, that's right. And now I'm taking my turn when I bring my little ones to the game.
Right, yes.
Awesome.
But yeah, which is amazing as well. But
awesome. What's your first memory of being at an Eskimo game?
very first memory, maybe one of my earlier ones was the, I want to say, Gizmo bobblehead day.
Oh, wow. Nice.
It was an early-ish one that sticks out in my mind.
Yeah. And everybody knew Gizmo at the time.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So, yeah.
But I definitely have some vague memories from before that, too, of seeing Giz do the flips in the end zone. And,
awesome.
It's a big deal, right?
Yeah, stuff like that, right?
He brought so many fans to this game, that is for sure.
Yeah, absolutely,
right?
yeah.
And so now you played when you were in high school before then, or when did you play?
Yeah, I started playing in Pee Wee, so I think it was like 9 or 10.
Yeah, okay.
And, I played all the way up through high school.
Nice.
And, yeah, just love the sport, right? Always have. And
nice. What'd you play?
I played on defense. All I could really do is hit people and catch the ball occasionally. So, yeah.
That's perfect for a DB.
Yeah,
It's more than some of our DBs.
Yeah,
It's true. Yes.
So I think I played all the spots in the secondary over the years, and I got to play a little bit of outside linebacker in high school, which was a ton of fun. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, obviously, we all have our favorite players over the years. So who is some of your favorite players of the past, and who are your favorite players on the team now?
As a kid, I was definitely Willie Plus.
Nice.
And Giz, of course. And then I remember Malcolm Frank and Donnie Brady became some of my kind of
for sure.
next level favorites as I got a little bit older.
DB likes the DBs. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem, though, is if you're picking from that era, it's just like, where do you stop, right? Because you got like
absolutely.
Senior, you got AJ Gass, you got, oh man.
And then all the
Terry
offensive
Ray.
guys.
And then the old Terry Ray. Oh man, I wore number 28 one year that I could pick it because of
Nice.
Terry Ray.
Oh, good.
So yeah,
that is fantastic.
so yeah, and then Freddie Stamps, really the one guy that really the only bright spot for us
in the dark
over
ages.
the course of a couple seasons.
Yeah.
T-Jax,
Yeah.
Tristan Jackson, yeah. But in terms of players that are now current on the roster, definitely JC. Mm-hmm. I mean, JC for sure, because the year he got the tackle record, I was fortunate enough to be able to volunteer working the fire truck for that game.
Oh, nice.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had like a perfect vantage point on the sidelines there for JC's record-breaking tackle.
Nice.
It happened like right in front of me, and I was standing there like the other guys I was with, like they're football fans, but maybe not as much as I am.
Okay.
And they're like, "Oh man, that was sweet," and I was just like losing it. I was like, "You guys don't understand that he just broke the record. This is the tackle record. It was amazing. It happened right in front of us." And I was like, just so pumped up.
Oh, that's
and then to
awesome.
hop on that truck and whip around and throw footballs, it was like just an amazing moment.
That's
man,
awesome.
that is fantastic.
Could use your arm now because these guys can't seem to hit more. I throw 10.
Yeah. But then in that moment, I made a pact with myself that I was going to get that jersey if it was available.
Yeah.
So I went to the locker room sale that year. I was so paranoid that someone was going to get in line in front of me that I showed up at like 10 o'clock the night before.
Oh, holy
Yeah, because I was like, man, if even one person is in front of me,
They're going for it.
they're going for it. I'm done, right? So I was lucky that I had an amazing buddy who I was able to convince to come hang out with me. And so we like chucked a football around for like 4 hours just outside Commonwealth.
Wow.
It was cold, too.
It was cold. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Holy man.
Yeah. And then
that is dedication.
Yeah. Eventually we decided to like lay down and try to take a little nap as best we could. By that time there was a couple more people had showed up, and they did something smart that we didn't think of, and that was bring like long chairs and sleeping bags.
Of course, yeah.
Things, you know. Wow. So we're just sitting there like we bundled up, but we didn't bring anything. So we're just sitting there on the concrete, like trying to sleep, and like it was a long night, man. But it was so worth it. We got in there, and I remember Dwayne Mandrziak came up to me, and he's like, "You're here for the JC jersey, aren't you?" And I was like, "You know it, man."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, I just hope you appreciate, you know, how special this jersey is."
Absolutely.
And I just wanted to be like, Mr. Matt Jersiak, I'm so pumped to even like be talking to you right now, let alone like if there's one guy that'll appreciate it. I feel like I'm that guy. So I was so happy to get it. My picture is in the paper. All the guys at work made fun of me for a couple years. Yeah, for being such a nerd, but it's like one of my favorite things that I own.
Go.
Man, that is outstanding. Well, I guess you just answered the memorabilia.
So there you go. Sorry, I know that started with favorite player.
That's
right?
That's
awesome.
all
I got off track.
So. No, that is so awesome.
So JC is my guy.
So you're obviously fairly active on Esks Fans. I've interacted on there for years. So what's your favorite part of the interaction in a message forum like that?
Oh man, I think it's just being in a place with a whole bunch of other people that are as passionate and knowledgeable, I guess, as you are about the team and about the game, right? And it's like, it's not always easy to find that in everyday life, like people that you can, that'll match your level of passion about the team. Like guys will ask me at work, like, "Oh, did you go to the game last night?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I went," and then the conversation kind of
it's over.
Ends, right? Yeah.
Good game. Anyway.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, what'd you think?" I was like, "Well," and I start going into like, the defense did this and Riley was a little bit off, and I'm like, and all of a sudden I catch myself and I realize I've been talking at them for 10 minutes and they're like zoned right out. Yeah. I'm like, "Oh man," so like S Fans fills that void for me of like just somewhere, like I go there every day.
Right.
It's just somewhere to interact with people that genuinely love the team and the game.
I love the fact that it's different opinions as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you can certainly talk about the game, and some people will see it completely different than the way you did.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll be like, "Oh, I never even thought of it that way."
So
especially,
true.
I mean, you played the game at that high school level. Yeah. So for those of us that didn't, you have a different perspective on it as well. So it's great to be able to sort of read that and say, "Oh, that's kind of a new way to look at it too."
I do love that aspect of it as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, our question that we ask every fan and or alumni as they come in, and you knew this one was coming, is what does the Eskimo way mean to you?
I think the biggest thing is just that realization that the Edmonton Eskimo Football Club is about more than just football in a sense, right? It's about being leaders in the community, about doing things the right way, about treating people with respect. And it's about, when you get onto the field level, it's about being a family and playing hard for the guy next to you. Yeah. And I feel like it just, that term Eskimo Way embodies a lot of values that I personally connect with or
believe in.
Believe in, exactly. So, but the biggest thing I think is just, doing things the right way on and off the field.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, perfect. Perfect answer.
And an appropriate one from this day.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it nice if we would do things appropriately on and off the field? I want to tackle that one later.
Excellent.
We'll get to that one in a bit. For now, let's get to the Fest and talk about the Esks destruction by the Riders that are the best team in the CFL. Now, I had to say that because I lost a bet to Steve from Piffles. I hope that was clear enough. I tried not to gag as I said it, so I hope that came through properly. Okay, so the Esks
properly, but it came through.
It came out, yeah. Esks lose 54-31, which honestly is a score that flatters the Eskimos. Yeah. Lots of garbage time thing. Yeah. First thing that I just want to put out on the table, this one was not due to injuries.
No.
The Riders absolutely outplayed us in every part of the game, every facet of the game. And this is like a complete
fire truck
show from the Esks as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. And it was really, I guess maybe why I was so... I guess upset or angry at the end of the game is it was obviously the loss, but it was just so disappointing. We finally get 41,000 people there and 70% of the stadium is leaving pissed off that why the hell did I spend the money to watch this?
Right. I think that you can certainly say that it was all three phases, but I think the defense did the best of the three, which isn't saying much. The bar is set low.
Exactly.
I mean, they had 2 pick sixes in a game. How often does that happen?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
You might have a couple of picks, but both of them returned for touchdowns.
But was it the stat I got from Dave Campbell was that the Riders scored 37 points off of turnovers.
Right.
37 of
in
their
a row.
54. That game completely changes even if that's cut in half, this game is completely different.
Yes.
So I agree with you. The defense out of the three in the second half played the best of
all three phases. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
It's not to say that anyone can really hang their hat on that and say, yeah, we did a good job.
No.
But Riley was not Riley. And I think that was the most obvious thing. When we, early in the game, he fumbled the ball on third and really inches and turned the ball over on downs. That was sort of an indication that some things weren't right. And then he was throwing the ball over people's heads
almost
consistently.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like something wasn't right with him for whatever the reason was. And if as goes Riley, so go the Eskimos.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I want to actually... I'm going to give the defense just a little bit of credit here because I think they maybe you can't say it was their best game, but especially in the second half, I thought they played very well in the second half. But even if you look at the first half, they had the one drive on them for a touchdown. But if you look at the Riders, what did they score? 7 touchdowns? Yeah, I know. Okay, so 2 of them are pick sixes. That's not on the D.
Yeah.
One of them's a block punt.
Not on the D.
Two of them came late in the game in garbage time off of failed onside kick attempts.
Yep.
Right? So that's 5 of the 7 touchdowns accounted for.
One was on a turnover.
One was on a turnover.
So again, short field.
Short field.
The fumble and the you just talked
totally.
about.
The touchdown they had right before the half to Marshall, where Willis was getting blatantly held.
Exactly. Should
never have counted. So really, I think the defense held their own, and they came out in the second half and they were ticked off. They came out and they by all counts were ready to try and win this ball game. They brought the heat, they brought the pressure, and it Saskatchewan's going 2-0, 2-0, 2-0. But every time our offense stepped on the field, we'd go 2-0, or we'd throw a pick six. Yeah. And it was just so deflating, because the D was I felt like the D really stepped up, and the offense just, for whatever reason, couldn't get it together.
And special teams.
So it's kind of weird, because it's not very often when you give up 54 points that you can sit back and say, you know what, the D didn't do terrible. I think they still held them to 300 yards of net offense, right?
Right. Yeah.
So so many points came off turnovers and special teams errors.
And they had the time of possession as well. So the defense, if anything, could say, listen, we were gassed.
Yeah.
And they've got 35, 36 minutes TOP.
Yeah.
And at the same time, like you said, they, especially in the second half, were not playing bad at all.
Yeah. Well, okay, so here's a question for you then, Ben, because I agree with you in that the defense was the best of the 3 phases. Your thoughts on the addition and the play of John Chick on Friday? Because as far as I'm concerned, and I said it after the game.
You were not in a great mood, though.
No, definitely not. I thought it was horrid, but from somebody who played the game and obviously is looking at it with a little bit different, more balanced glasses than I am at that point. What did you think of that?
Well, you know what? I think it's tough because you come into the game with maybe a little bit of a skewed perspective, right? Because you look at that Odell Willis, Mondo Sewell, John Chick, and throw in Daquan Bowers, who's been amazing, and even
Moore was great.
Moore, who had a good game the week before, right? Yeah. And you're looking at that and you're like, man, we've got the best D line in the league on paper.
Yeah.
And I think so that maybe I just had the bar set too high in my mind or whatever, but I was definitely the first half, I wasn't seeing the type of pressure from the D line that I hoped or that I kind of expected.
Yes.
But that's not to say that I think they had a bad game. I definitely think that second half was a lot more closer to what I expected to see from them. But the thing to remember is we've had so much turnover on that D over the course of the year. Not to say that injuries are a part of it, but I felt like we were maybe a touch limited on defense in terms of what we could do and what we could call.
What we could actually run as a scheme.
What we could actually run with all the new bodies coming and going all the time. It almost looked at times in the first half especially like we were playing a vanilla kind of preseason style defense against an offense that's in midseason form and that's had all their pieces working together for weeks on end now, right?
Oh, geez, I wonder what that's like.
I wonder
what it's like to have the same guys play the same position every
Winnipeg,
week.
they had a couple of weeks of it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, it's not fair.
Nope.
Anyway.
For me, I think that the defensive line we've talked about many times before is based on the pressure that front four gets.
Yeah.
Having a solid linebacking core really helps, and obviously when we're on our third string middle linebacker and our fourth string will linebacker, thank God for Kenny Ladler.
Yeah.
He's the only thing, the one in the linebacking core that's been there since day one. It just wasn't the same. And I think that one of those people that didn't really get a lot of credit over the last year is Euclid Cummings, and him not being there beside Mondo.
Yes.
So we had Cummings and Moore last week, and then this week was Mondo and Moore.
Yeah.
We have Chicken instead of we had Marcus Howard or Kwaku or Hunt. Like, it just seems to be there was a bunch of rotations in there to the point where you have to have that consistency. Yeah. They always talk about the offensive line has to be consistent.
Yes.
But the defensive line does too, because you have to be able to know that if I'm getting doubled, that this guy can do that or this guy's going to do this. So, and not an excuse. No. I think that's just something we're seeing the result of is because, I mean, to me, Mondo is the guy.
Yeah.
If you're talking defensive tackles, it's like him.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a few other guys, but he is, to me, the best pure defensive tackle in the league.
No question.
And he just came back off of an injury, too. So I'm hoping we're going to see a lot more out of him on Monday. God, I'm hoping we see a lot more out of him on Monday.
Yes.
Because I think Calgary's played decently, but they haven't played outstanding the last few games. So I think they are available for us to take advantage of, but...
Well, we shall see, and we're going to talk about that in a short while as well. All right, so like you said, Riley had an off game. One of the questions that I did want to ask you guys, he was still in the fourth quarter when the score was most definitely out of reach.
And after 2 pick sixes.
And he took another hard hit, and then he went back out. How did you feel about that?
My feelings on that might be a little bit different than the majority, I think.
Okay.
I'm kind of in the camp that Mike Riley is the guy. There's no question.
No, right? No question.
And when your guy is struggling like that, I think there's a little bit of merit to the idea that you need to let him work through it, and hopefully, get it out of whatever it is that's caused him an issue. Hopefully, get it out of his system and get a good drive or a couple good throws or something just to end, and then pull him, like just to end it on a semi-positive, just to say like, okay, our guy's kind of got his rhythm back, like he's kind of found it. But it's a tricky balance because you don't want to wait forever for that to happen to the point where you're just endangering your quarterback for no real reason, right? Yeah,
that was where, and see, that's where my point is that I was thinking, there's no way he should be going back in there.
Yeah.
Like we're not. I get, but see, my opinion on that was exactly what you said. But that was the third quarter.
Yeah,
and you threw a second pick six, and then you got hammered.
Yes. Yeah.
Like that was the time. Like I get you want to support him and give him that. Okay, it's okay. You're still our guy. But man, if he had got hurt in that game, Moss would be he'd be on a skillet this week.
Much like that first year with Chris Jones.
Absolutely, where he left him in too long. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so that one is scary to me.
I don't think it's about making him feel better per se. I think it's like you look at the week before in Winnipeg, Riley had a pretty not so great first half in that game.
Yeah.
But then he came out of the half and he was slinging it and throwing, and and
Riley actually wasn't bad in the first half. It was that his receivers couldn't catch a ball.
Right.
It was constant push-ups in the first, right?
Cold.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I'm starting to wonder. It almost looks like when that sort of thing happens, the last couple of games, it looks like Riley he's getting a little frustrated, I think, and then he starts to force things that maybe aren't there, and it kind of gets him into trouble. And I think he just
that's a good point. That's a good point. I can't argue with you there.
A lot of people sort of relate it to the whole Patrick Roy, Mario Tremblay thing, where Tremblay let Roy in for goal after goal after goal. The difference to me is Roy asked to be pulled.
Yes,
at that point, whereas Riley will never ask to be pulled.
Yeah.
The only reason I would want to pull Riley, especially at that point, it's not like, well, we got to get Franklin reps just because for next year.
No.
Riley's going to be your guy. To me, it's only if you're afraid he's going to get injured. If they start pitting their ears back because they're up by a lot, and they just start ignoring everything and hammering him over and over, then you pull him.
Yeah.
Then you put in O'Brien because you don't like Franklin, or he's worth money.
Yeah, he's right.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, guess what we get to do this week, though? We haven't been able to do it for a long time.
that's right.
Hey, it's Franklin.
Yes, we got to see Mr. Franklin on the field. 2 TDs, of course. It was garbage time, mind you, but hey, they were reasonable drives, and we could celebrate that. I gotta say, for me, it was great to see him on the just because, man, that guy throws a beautiful ball.
He does.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
It's so nice to watch. Like. Riley's the guy. I totally get it, but man, oh man, do I like...
For a pure passer,
Holy
I think
jeez,
Franklin's
is that
got
pretty.
the
It
edge.
just sucks that he has to be here right now, not like 3 or 4 years from now.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's okay to stay, though.
Yeah.
It's okay to stay.
Or maybe he goes to the NFL bounces around for a couple of years, then comes back.
Oh, see?
Yeah.
It's like perfect timing.
That's
Perfect.
one of
Just
one of the dream scenarios I've got.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
It lets me sleep at night.
Yeah.
Exactly. We got a couple more things here I just want to talk about. Duke Williams, I guess the bright spot, 101 yards, a couple of nice catches once again, and Jamil Smith.
I thought he did very well.
A couple of nice returns, one really nice return. Yeah. Welcome to the green and gold.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was a good thing. And then the last thing I want to touch on, now I know that you know him, so Hugh O'Neill, off night.
Yeah, but that block punt wasn't on him at
No,
all.
no, that was on the
Lochard?
I think it was Lochard who didn't block at all.
Nope.
There was no blocking.
Some wires were
He
crossed
hesitated,
on that one, yeah.
then the guy was coming in, then he just ran
And
instead of making that block.
Instead
and that was
of
it.
making the block. Yeah, and then of course the blocked convert that got, and then there's block convert, then there was the convert that got run back. Then there was the kickoff out of bounds. It was a rough night for you.
It was not his best night for sure. Like we talked about on the Periscope, though, his punting is still outstanding.
Oh, outstanding.
And as Ben said at that time, if there's any way we can keep him in for kickoffs and punting when White is back, that would be, I think, a really lethal combination.
Absolutely. Well, there's only one thing to do with that game. All right, so for the first time this year, we are not in first place. It's time to go something that's always number one for the show, though, as it's time once again for the Esks history segment.
Let's hear you cheer and holler for a mighty famous team. Let's hear you roar, you know what, for a team that's on the beat. Our voices rise up to the skies, the fans are glad to scream. We love those Eskimos.
Welcome to another edition of This Week in Eskimos History. Today we'll be looking at Eskimos milestones for the week of August 30th through September 5th. Some significant birthdays this week include September 1st, Bill Manchuk, linebacker 1981-82. And on September 2nd, Dick Dupuis, defensive back 1968-1976. And Corey Kohlauer, quarterback 1968 and 69. Current Eskimos celebrating a birthday this week. Again on September 2nd, Marcel Young, defensive back 2013 to present, will be turning 30 years old. And on September 4th, Dwayne Mandrusiak, equipment manager 1971 to present, who is ageless. And looking back at an anniversary of passing, September 3rd, 2016. 1 year ago this week, we lost Normie Kwong, one of the greatest football stars ever to don the green and gold. Normie was born Lim Kwong Yu in 1929 in Calgary, the son of Chinese immigrants, and became the first Canadian professional football player of Chinese heritage. He joined his hometown Calgary Stampeders in 1948 and celebrated their first Grey Cup win shortly after his 19th birthday. It was this win that spurred on Edmonton businessmen to start their own professional football team in Edmonton, spawning the birth of the Edmonton Eskimos as we know them. After contract negotiations were going poorly, and Kwong coming off a nagging injury, Calgary traded his rights to the Eskimos in 1951 for Reg Clarkson, who had played with the 1949 team, but had not played with them since that time. Normie was an instant smash with the Eskimos, rushing for 933 yards in his first year with the club, with 7 touchdowns and a 5.2 yard per carry average. 1955 was a breakout year for the China Clipper, as he broke the single-season rushing record in Canadian football with 1,250 yards and 10 touchdowns. This record didn't last long, as he eclipsed it the following year with 1,437 yards in only 15 games, which stood as the most yards rushed by a Canadian until it was broken in 2012, albeit in 3 more games than Normie played. Kwong retired a few times during the last few seasons he played, but always returned to Edmonton, finally making it stick after the 1960 season. Kwong dabbled in politics beginning in 1971, and in 2005 was made the first Chinese-Canadian Lieutenant Governor of Alberta, replacing Lois Hole. Normie Kwong was named to the Canadian Football Hall of Fame in 1969, Canada's Sports Hall of Fame in 1975, the Alberta Sports Hall of Fame in 1980, and the Eskimos Wall of Honor in 1983. He is a 4-time Western All-Star at fullback, a 3-time West rushing leader, and twice won the Shenley Award as Most Outstanding Canadian. In 1988, he was made a member of the Order of Canada and also served as the national chairman of the Canadian Consultative Council on Multiculturalism. He is remembered by all for his contributions on and off the field and will be missed. And finally, looking at some other important dates in the history of the Empire. August 30th, 1978. Edmonton opens Commonwealth Stadium, beating the visiting BC Lions 18-10 in front of 42,768 excited fans. Cornerback Joe Holloman scored the only touchdown of the game, intercepting Lions quarterback Jerry Taggy and returning the ball 50 yards for a major early in the second quarter. Hank Alisic earned the team a rouge, while Dave Cutler supplied the rest of the scoring with a convert, 3 field goals, and a 46-yard single, which stood as the first ever point scored in the new home of the Green and Gold. The Eskimos went on to reward the faithful fans who packed Commonwealth Stadium by avenging the 1977 Ice Bowl loss in the first win of a 5 in a row as the greatest Grey Cup dynasty the CFL has ever seen. And lastly, September 4th, 2015. Edmonton signs free agent kicker Shaun White. White had been released by the Montreal Alouettes on August 10th and was readying himself to life after football when the call came from Eskimos GM Ed Hurdy asking him to join the team. White proved to be a solid addition to the team and won the hearts of Eskimo fans everywhere when he kicked a walk-off 53-yard field goal to beat Winnipeg 24-23 on the last play of the game. He was Mr. Consistent in 2016, his first full year with the team, making 93.8% of his field goals, including going perfect inside of 40-yard attempts. An injury in Game 5 of 2017 forced him from the roster, but Eskimo fans everywhere are looking forward to him picking up where he left off when he returns to the field. Thank you again for listening to This Week in Eskimos History. Find us on Twitter at Esks History or on Facebook under This Day in Eskimos History. Until next week, fight on, Eskimos.
Going for a touchdown. Going for a touchdown. Going for a touchdown. We love those Eskimos.
That was
Fire trucking.
Awesome, superfan. Thank you again. As we've kind of reached the halfway point of the 2017 season, I thought it would be kind of fun to set up some early Empire awards. So let's go through that. We'll make a pick as we go around, and now one guy each. I'm going to be specific about this one. So let's start with, who do you think is the top guy offensively? We'll start with you, Ben.
Offensively, well, I think you have to go with Mike Riley. I mean, I know it was a rough outing for him on Friday night, but there's no question that Mike is the heart of the team. They're, as Riley goes, the Eskimos go.
Absolutely.
He pulled so many games out, especially during that 7-game winning streak where it was like, man, we're down a little bit, but you throw Riley in there and he just puts the team on his back. And
absolutely.
Yeah. So, yeah, no question.
100% agree. Super fan.
Yeah, I've got Mike Riley for this one as well. I mean, if you even consider the last 2 games where he hasn't been necessarily the same leader we've expected, we're talking about a guy that was just short of passing for 3,000 yards in the first 9 games. Only 4 times has that happened.
Wow.
Or 4 quarterbacks that's happened, and Riley's done it twice, or did it once last year and would have done it twice this year. He set a franchise record for consecutive games with a touchdown pass, which just ended this last game.
Yep.
And he has the highest quarterback efficiency rating over any starter, excepting now that Lule is going to be the starter again. He's slightly higher, but he's higher than every other quarterback. So to me, you can't not have Mike Riley be the offensive guy for this team. So.
Absolutely. And I would agree with you both, but I am going to put an honorable mention in there just to be a little bit different. No, actually. My honorable mention right now is going to go to Duke Williams.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because the guy has broken in on the scene.
Yep.
We said it at training camp that he looked impressive, but if it's a 50-50 ball, that's what they're going to call it. But if it's Duke going for it, it automatically becomes a 75-25 ball for him.
Sure. Yeah.
And he has made some incredible catches and really, really put his body out on the line to catch a lot of things and been a big star, I think, as far as being a receiver. So I do want to make sure that we give him honorable mention in the offensive category for sure.
I'll agree with that.
Yep. All right, let's switch over to defensive, and this time I'll start with you, Superfan.
I'm going to go with Kenny Ladler. We've sung his praises a lot on the show. We're talking about a guy that's number 6 in defensive tackles in the league.
Yes.
He is only 2 tackles out of 5th place, but he has a game in hand. So if he gets 2 tackles in the next game, he's in the top 5. He's number 3 in interceptions. He's had 2 forced fumbles and 2 fumble recoveries. Not to mention he's one of the few guys on defense that's played every game. So
absolutely.
To me, it's Kenny.
Okay, fair enough. Ben, where do you go with that one?
Yeah, oh man, Kenny. I was close to picking Kenny as well, but I think I'm going to go with Mondo just because
Good call.
I really feel like he is the straw that stirs the drink on the defensive side.
Yeah.
Not to take anything away from Kenny, he's been absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
But we saw what this defense looks like with Mondo on the sidelines, and it's quite different.
Absolutely.
That's a word.
Yeah.
That's a wow.
That's
a
friendlier word than I would have.
I mean, just having a guy in there that can eat up double teams consistently on every single play, it just causes a ripple effect for your whole defense, right? You get your ends get in one-on-one matchups, and that affects the linebackers, which affects the secondary. And it's just, man, Mondo is just, he's on another level, as Mike said earlier, when you're talking about D tackles in this league.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you for sure. So, and I'll throw in again. Because I agree with both of you, but I'm going to throw in my honorable mention here. I'm going to put it on Odell.
Yeah,
and the reason that I'm going to do that is because when JC went down, Odell had to step up as the leader.
And he did.
And he has. Absolutely. And when Bowman went down, Odell kind of had to be the leader, the secondary leader, I guess, to Mike Riley everywhere.
Right.
And I think he's really embraced that role. Yeah. And I think he's actually, showing that with what he's doing on the field. Up until the last couple of games, he was getting sacks and pressures every game. And even this past game, he did have some pressures as well. So I got to give Odell some credit there on the defense for sure. So,
and he's a pretty darn good backup referee.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Yeah, exactly. That's good for him. He knows the signals. That's what
he does now.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so then our next one is special teams, and that is a tough one. But Ben, I'll let you start this one.
Oh man, it's I'd love to go with White. That would be the easy answer, but can I pick Odell?
Yeah, sure. He kicks
because I feel bad that I left him out in the defensive conversation.
Yeah. More than welcome. Welcome to do that.
The fact that he can kick in emergency situations is just amazing,
isn't it? Yeah, and he did reasonably well. That's good. Yeah, I'll take that. Absolutely. Super fan.
I am taking the easy way out, and I am saying it's Sean White.
All right.
He's 13 of 14 in field goals. He's 92.9% accuracy, which is top in the league. Mm-hmm. Not bad for a guy who only played 4 games.
Yeah.
He's got 5 over 40 yards, and he hit his career longest at 55 yards.
All right.
And look how we've done since he's been down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we need money back.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right, I'm going again off the board, but I am going to go with Hakuna Matata, Malumba Shamanga, because the guy gets special teams tackles on a fierce pace, and he's really actually impressed me with his speed getting down the field and wrapping guys up, and the last few games having to play linebacker as well. Yeah. So I'm going to give Malumba Shamanga as a rookie a special teams pick here. All right, and finally, our unsung hero, and I'm going to start with you, Superfan.
This is a tough one for sure. I almost went with Euclid Cummings, but I'm going to go with Gary Peters.
Oh, good pick.
He is number 3 on the Esks in tackles, and he's only played 5.5 games.
Wow.
And again, when he's not in the lineup, he was a guy that the first half of last year wasn't playing great.
No.
But it was in a brand new defensive coordinator and
but he was also playing corner and not half.
Right.
He's better at half.
He is definitely. Yeah. And again, when he's out, you really notice him missing. Mm-hmm. And I think he's definitely one of the best in that secondary.
Yeah, good pick. Great pick. Ben.
Yeah, this was a tough one too for me, just given the amount of turnover that we've had. We've had so few guys that have actually hung out in one spot for a while, right?
That's true. But
I think I landed on Vidal Hazelton actually.
Nice.
Especially with Bowman being out, it seems like he's almost become a little bit of that safety blanket for Riley.
Yeah.
I think we saw a lot of throws to him over the last few weeks where it was like the crap was hitting the fan and Riley had to get rid of the ball, and there's Vidal.
Yeah.
Right? And
he wasn't there this
last game.
And it was noticeable.
His speed coming out of those cuts too.
Exactly. His speed and he's a bigger guy obviously too, so his size and his speed and he knows the playbook, having been around since last season. I think he's a guy that a lot of people don't seem to mention that he was the runner up for Rookie of the Year to Darrell Walker a couple of years ago, right? So
absolutely.
He's and the fact that Hervey was able to pick him up and slide him in there last season when he did, and he's really embraced the role, and I think he's become a big part of the team, and it was pretty evident that he was missing last week.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
And I can see why he is sort of underappreciated when we have such a strong receiving core.
Yeah,
for
sure. People always talk about and rightfully so, but all the talk is Brandon Zylstra and Darius Bowman and and Duke Williams now, and I mean I love those guys. They're amazing. But Vidal doesn't seem to be in the conversation maybe as much as those guys.
Sure.
And he should be.
Fair enough.
I like it.
Fair enough.
Off the board.
Yep, completely off the board. Yeah. I am going with Mike Benavides.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Because the fact that he has somehow even compiled a defense to play on the field, much less play reasonably well. And I understand that the last couple of games hasn't been great, but overall, when the injuries started to pile up, they mostly started to pile up on defense. Yeah. And Benavides has had to move his chess pieces around to keep that defense in some kind of form. And I think he's been masterful. And for as much as we crapped on him last year, I think we do need to come around to acknowledging the fact that he is playing with only half a deck. And he's still finding a way to win it.
He's playing with a full deck.
Yeah. Not as far as players are concerned. He's playing a game. I mean, not his brain. Come on now. I just said his brain was brilliant. That's what I'm saying. He's finding ways to win. So I think he deserves a nod in the unsung hero.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right. Now, we did have, of course, a little bit of Esks announcement there last week. Sad to say once again that we are losing some players. Marcus Howard, Ryan King, and Jean-Simon Roy all down for the year with varying injuries. Guys, get healthy. We need you back.
So true.
Let's take a short break, and we will be back with our out-of-town scoreboard, the game preview for the Labor Day Classic, and, of course, this week's Pick'em.
This is Phil from EskFans.com, and you're listening to the Eskimo Empire Podcast.
Hey guys, do you know there's even more ways to interact with the Empire online?
What?
That's right. You can find us on Twitter at EskEmpirePod, on Facebook under the Eskimo Empire Podcast group, on Instagram at EskEmpirePod, and you can also follow us on YouTube under our channel, the Eskimo Empire Podcast. Now, I know you guys like that Eskimo history segment, right?
Yeah!
You can follow more of that information at Esks History on Twitter, and you can find it on This Day in Esks History on Facebook. Don't forget to share, okay?
Okay!
Thanks so much for listening. Let's get back to the show. All right, we are back, and we've got an Empire Points update for you. In first place right now, Chris Curtis, then Joe Balaneski, Coach Vic, Lord Touchdown, Joe Pritchard, Uncle BD, Leanne Hippie, and Bill K. And I'm trying to make sure that we get some more people in there, because remember, if you're in the top 10, you do get a chance at the draw for the signed Shamad Chambers rookie game-worn jersey. Make sure you're earning your Empire points by sharing, leaving iTunes reviews, or, of course, just generally making us laugh.
And we could use it.
Sure can. Yeah. The Joe Adarius for Autism Watch is now up to $62.50. Mitchell got 36 yards total, and he did end up with a TD. So that adds into the total. Time for our out-of-town scoreboard. Of course, it's brought to you, as always, by SeatGiant.ca, where they have tickets for all CFL games, and they are all in Canadian dollars. So they have, of course, concerts, they have theater, event tickets. I mean, if you're looking for your Guns N' Roses tickets, this show is coming out that day. Go on to SeatGiant.ca, use the code
Fire Trucker.
Absolutely. Get a discount, and of course that helps the show as well. So, Superfan, you're on about last week's games.
I'm on and on about these games.
Aren't you?
We started off with the Winnipeg-Montreal game. Surprise, surprise, another close one. Winnipeg on top, 34-31.
Those damn Bomber bastards. God.
I love the end of this game.
Oh, that... You're talking about the punt off?
Yes.
That was amazing. That was amazing.
It's to the point where they were punting even when they didn't have to.
No, in fact, shouldn't have.
Yeah, exactly. And it was just...
But they're like, this is Canadian football. This is what we do. We punt it back and forth.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm sure the ESPN was just like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Everybody in America's like, what the hell is this game?
It's real football.
Yeah, they turned football into soccer. What's going on? I think one of the things, of course, that we have to mention in this game, though, that and on all the respect to Nick Lewis, who sets the all-time reception record.
And could be still going. He wants to come back and play next year.
Wow.
So we could be setting this number pretty high for the next guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
That could stand a while. I thought it would stand a lot longer than it did after
G-Roy.
G-Roy.
No kidding. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so good on Nick. Another point we should make here, Harris had another great game. Yeah, Andrew Harris is. I think he's in the. He's got to be in the mix now for the MOP conversation,
especially after the last couple of weeks for Riley.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely.
I think Riley kept his pace on in the last two games. It's a much harder conversation.
Yeah.
But now,
sure.
We know it's coming out of the West, regardless.
Yeah, at this point, yeah.
All right, so the next game we had, this one, again, a bit of a surprise for those of us in Pick'em. Yeah. Ottawa actually goes against the grain, and the East beats the West as they took BC 31-24.
Mm-hmm. Well, now the interesting one in this one is that Ottawa almost gave it away again in the fourth quarter.
Lule came in, and that definitely sparked them, and that was close.
Wow. I was... But for Ottawa to have that huge lead... And then in the fourth quarter, just about
Ottawa fans must have been thinking, here we go again.
Yeah, I know. It's like, geez, you talk about all that excitement in the first and then, in the second.
Yeah. Right. It's funny to see the difference in the BC lines with John Jennings at the helm versus Travis Lule, right? Like because Jennings was good last year. He played the whole season. He was solid. He looked, for all intents and purposes, to be, one of the next great ones, and not to say that he's not still that.
Yeah.
But this season, for whatever reason, he's had his struggles and
he's come down to earth.
Yeah, exactly. And Lule comes in and he takes that team and they're on a different level with him at the helm. And BC's got to harness that because the West can get away from them fast, right? And if they don't want to sit there looking like the weak sisters in the West, they got to figure.
They could be in fifth very soon.
Exactly.
Wow.
So
Can you imagine? Like that, I would never even have thought of that.
No.
Yeah.
But Lule's the starter now, right?
He is officially named the starter for the next game. So they have a week off to worry about it, too.
Yeah. Good for them. That's great. Yeah. Okay, next one.
So the last one, this one started out as gangbusters for Toronto. They were up 7-0.
Yeah.
And Calgary has 23 unanswered points to take this one 23-7.
As they do. So but no offense from Toronto in this game. Like, even with Ricky Ray.
Yeah.
They spent all their offense the week before, I think.
Right. It's probably true. It's probably true. All right. And in our last CFL news, I guess we've got to mention that other team that was on bye.
Yeah. Hamilton was on the bye week and apparently very busy. Mm-hmm. Kent Austin steps down as head coach, remains as vice president. And June Jones comes in as head coach. And
so that was the move that was okay.
That move was okay.
That move I was actually all right with. Okay, so let's talk about the first move first. So the move of Austin to step down as head coach and then June Jones to come in as head coach. I think that's the right move.
Yes.
I think they do need a new leader. They do
new
need
voice in that locker room.
Absolutely. I think the whole team can benefit from that. I think that was a good move.
Yes.
Then they try to bring in controversial person in Art Brills, and Twitter absolutely explodes, as they should.
Not just Hamilton, but CFL fans everywhere.
Absolutely, because that's not the kind of person that represents the CFL.
No.
That's not the person that the league that is all about second chances is not about second chances for somebody like that.
He's on his 50th chance.
Beyond.
Yeah,
he's run out of chances. So, and I know today, myself and Ben, I'm sure you can say this as well as a parent, but I'm a parent of a daughter, but I'm also the parent of a boy who is now playing football. And on both sides of the gender line, I don't want that man anywhere near my game. And I don't want him anywhere near where my children might be or might be watching.
Let alone explain why a team in the CFL is okay with that enough to hire this guy.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm very glad that at this point we don't have to get too far into this is continuing on, because the CFL did come down and say, no, this is not happening. And of course, as it turns out, that was on Randy Ambrosie. And being that I've met Randy Ambrosie, that doesn't surprise me at all.
Right.
Right.
He has done very well. People talk about Orridge, and maybe Orridge might have done it differently. Orridge is also a lawyer. And there's one thing you have to be very careful of, was when you're overturning a decision on someone that does not have a record per se.
Yeah. Right.
You have to be very cautious in how you do this. So I think kudos to Ambrosie and his team for making sure they do it right, coming out, being firm, and explaining that he is not going to be in this league.
Yeah.
He's just nailing it out of the park, isn't he?
Yeah, he's
just like come in and socking dingers one after the other.
Exactly. To mix sport metaphors, yes.
Yeah. Can I do that? I don't watch baseball. Is that baseball? Yeah. I don't watch baseball.
Taters.
Yeah. Is that baseball? So is he just throwing touchdown after touchdown?
Yeah.
What is the football term?
He's an offensive lineman. What's that? Well, crack block after crack.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that. Yeah, exactly. In the long run, the right decision was made.
Yes.
And I'm glad it was, and I'm glad for Hamilton fans, because
it's time for them to heal now, and it's going to take a while, I think.
Oh, I agree, because it could have happened, right?
Regardless of what anything else had, they still conceived of the idea, went through all the processes, and okayed it at every level.
Yeah. Right. And that is...
Regardless of who overturned it, it was still okay as in Hamilton's eyes. The Hamilton administration's eyes.
The team, yes.
That tells you how deep the rot goes in that organization, potentially.
Exactly. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But again, for players and fans of the team who now don't have to be living with... Can I still cheer, or can I still play for this team under that? At least that person's not there.
Yeah,
it's true.
That's the part that I'm taking as the positive.
There will be less of a media circus on Labor Day.
Correct. Yes, exactly.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, speaking of Labor Day, it's the Labor Day Classic for us this coming Monday in McMahon Stadium. We, of course, will be there, super fans.
We will.
Make sure that if you are going to be there as a fan, make sure you get in touch with us so that we can hang out with other Eskimo fans, because there will only be a few of us, and we need to be there cheering together.
Loud and proud.
Now, keys to the game for this one for the Eskimos to try and win this one over Calgary. Ben, let's start with you.
I think the biggest thing, honestly, is they just need to come. They need to be a little bit pissed off after what happened to them last week, and they need to come out with energy and focus, and they need that little bit of swagger back where they walk on the field and they're like, you know what, we're here to win, and we're gonna first and foremost win the physicality battle. I think Labor Day, more so than any other game in the regular season, is all about who's the more physical.
Absolutely.
And last week they got absolutely outplayed in the physicality department, which is not typical of this team. This team, I believe, is known for its physicality.
I would agree.
Yeah, and it just wasn't there on Friday. So they need they need to bounce back in a big way. You know, even if they can't get the W, I think it's important that they get out there and show that what happened last week was an anomaly, and we're not a team that's going to let other teams come in here and push us around. Like we're going to show up and we're going to hit you in the mouth for 60 minutes.
Awesome.
You know?
Yeah, I 100% agree.
I love that idea.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, me too.
All right, so for me, Mike Riley needs to be the Mike Riley of the first 7 weeks.
Yeah.
You look at the last couple of Stampeder games, they had 21 points and then 23 points this past week. Not huge numbers whatsoever. If our defensive line can go back to dominating that line of scrimmage, I think we can maybe hold them to low numbers again. So if our offense, and especially if Bowman is coming back, which is the rumor, I think we can pull more than 25 points. So
Bowman and possibly Konar is still
absolutely
a possibility.
I'm talking about an offense, though, right? So if we can have to make a decision where it's Bowman and Zylstra and Williams and Mitchell and Stafford.
Well, it should be and Hazelton. Because he was only on the one game.
Right.
So he might be back as well.
There's some great decisions to have to make pick 4 out of those 6 for international receivers. Yeah. If we can be starting to roll on offense, then I think we've got a real possibility to take this game.
All right, fair enough. I think that a big part of this game is going to come down to our special teams. I really do think it. I think that Hugh has to have a bounce-back game. He has to have that game that he had 3 weeks ago where he went, 4 for 4 and was hitting everything and punting beautifully. And I think we are going to need at least 1 or 2 big returns so that we're not starting in the shadows of our own goalposts. I think our offense, right now is kind of touchy. Is that the right word? I want them to be better, but I don't want it to be like one thing goes wrong and it feels like the boat's flooding already. And I think part of that is getting some of those big returns so that our guys feel like we're starting at a better position.
Yeah, I think with Jamil Smith on there, we've got a real possibility to see that happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, so who are we going to be watching in this game? Superfan, which player are you focusing on?
I'm going to be watching the interior of that defensive line. Specifically, I'm going to be watching Mike Moore. Mondo, we know what Mondo is. I think he's going to be improving from last week. So Moore needs to help out there. If Mondo's getting double teamed, Moore needs to be getting back to that 2-sack game he had a couple of weeks ago. Yeah,
absolutely. Ben, who are you watching this one?
Yeah, this feels like a bit of a cop-out because it's easy to pick the quarterback. But after the struggles that Mike went through last week and a little bit the week before, I'm really curious just to see a bounce back out of him and just to kind of watch him. Because as we were saying earlier, he didn't look comfortable.
Yes.
And it wasn't necessarily always because of pressure. I didn't think our O-line had a terrible game.
Yeah, they had some off moments.
They had some off moments, but altogether, right? I don't think it was because of pressure that Riley was off. I think that it seemed like there was something else going there. So a little bit curious to see if hopefully he can find his groove again this week.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's probably one of the guys I'll be watching for sure.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. I am going to be watching Mr. Hoffman Ellis playing in middle linebacker as he was last week. And I think that one of the biggest things when we've played Calgary is Jerome Messam coming through the middle and us missing those tackles. And that middle linebacker position, that's their responsibility is going to be
Konar as well. It would be very helpful in there.
If Konar comes back, which is still questionable at this point, but if he does come back, that'll be a huge benefit for us for sure. Yeah. But I think that Alex needs a little bit of a bounce back game himself.
Yep.
And because I know that Cameron Marshall got through for more yards than we wanted in this last game, and so I think that and with Messam being so big and obviously having a history against the Eskimos, I'm hoping that we can find a way to shut that down. So that middle linebacker position is a huge one for me.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into our pick'em for this week. Fun and games here. If you want to join the group, you can join through the links that we post. Leaders this week are T. Lee, Hugo Agogo, Chris Vincent, Cappy D up into 4th, and Titus moved into 5th. So that was a little bit of movement up there. Now, I've decided we're not going to do that prop bet crap anymore because that didn't work for us 2 weeks in a row. So,
nope.
So fuck that. We're on time to get back to our picks. All right. So first one is Ottawa versus Montreal. In Montreal, Ben, you get the first pick as the guest.
Yeah, okay. I think I'm going to go with Montreal in this one. In a close one, though.
Close one?
Man, I've been going back and forth on it. I really like what Montreal's doing on defense, and I feel like they're due for a bit of a bounce back after what they went through with the Argos a couple weeks ago.
All right, fair enough. Superfan?
Yeah, I think I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going with Montreal. I think Ottawa played a pretty solid game against BC, but as you say, they almost let that one slip away. Harris, I think, is still a solid quarterback, but that Montreal defense has been one of the bright spots in the East right now, so I think Montreal takes it.
Absolutely. And it is so close, I actually had to look up what I picked because I forgot. But I did pick Montreal in that game as well. I think they want to bounce back as well at home, especially after the game against Winnipeg. Yeah. And I thought they had a good game against Winnipeg. Yeah. So I think this will be a very, very close one, but I'm going to squeak that one out to the Angry Birds. All right. Next game is in Saskatchewan on Sunday. New Mosaic, Winnipeg versus the Riders.
I'm taking Winnipeg in this one. Winnipeg has been a really solid team. I know that Saskatchewan had a really great game versus us, obviously, but I think versus Winnipeg, it's going to be a very different story. They're still going to be on that high, and Winnipeg is just finding ways to make it happen.
All right. I am going against every fiber of my being, and I am picking the Riders to win at home. And I think these last two games, they're on a roll, and that defense is starting to look awfully familiar, which makes me so sick to my stomach. But they're playing on another level right now. I think they might find a way. Again, it'll be a close one, but I'm going to squeak this one out to the Riders.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Mike on this one. I think they had a lot of things. Not to take anything away from them for their effort last week. They clearly were the more prepared and more energetic team in that game. But I also think they had a lot of things go their way, and if that doesn't necessarily happen again this week, they could be in tough against a Winnipeg team that, like you said, is finding ways to win. So yeah, I'm calling Winnipeg to squeak out the well, I don't know if you call it an upset, but
I get what you mean. For a Labor Day game, actually, it would be because they usually
lose that the Riders are playing well and they're playing well at home.
Yeah.
And given the history, maybe it'd be considered an upset. I'm going to go with Winnipeg.
It'll be a close one, that's for sure. All right, we'll skip over ours and we'll go to the other Labor Day Classic on the Monday, which is Toronto versus Hamilton in Hamilton. And that one, I am going with the Argos. I do think that Ricky Ray and SJ Green get back on track after last week. Of course, that's another week with DeVere Posey back as well. I have a feeling that Toronto will rack up a few points in this one. It'll be interesting to see with the addition of June Jones if the Hamilton offense plays a little bit better to make it a bit closer, but I'm still going to give this one to the Argos.
I'm going to have to agree. I think Hamilton might win one eventually, but I don't think this is the week.
Yeah, they have a lot of stuff going on right now.
It's so soon after the coaching change. I'm going with the Argos.
All right, super fan.
Yeah, I rarely pick the team that had the coaching change that week, so I'm definitely going Toronto as well. It's a bounce-back game for them. They had a terrible game against Calgary. Yeah. Defensively, maybe not as bad, but their offense was just not working at all. They're going to go back to 2 weeks ago where they had that fantastic game against Montreal, and Owen is going to still be residing at the Donut Box in Hamilton.
All right, fair enough. And our final game, of course, our beloved Eskimos going up against the Calgary Stampeders in the early game on the Monday. Sorry, Ben, you get to go first. Where are you picking on that one?
You know what? I'm going Eskimos.
All right, good, man.
Let's do this.
Okay, I like that. That's some positivity right there. Yeah.
I hear a lot of people saying, the Riders hung 50 on us. Calgary's going to hang 70 on us. But that just doesn't happen in football. No. You don't get blown, and especially to good teams. And I truly believe that the Eskimos are a good team. I truly believe that last week wasn't indicative of what kind of team they are. So I do expect a bounce back. If we're lucky, maybe Calgary is saying, they got trashed at home last week. This should be no sweat, right?
They underestimate us? That'd be great. Yeah.
I'm not saying they will, but who knows if that plays a factor, right? But I'm just hoping that we come in there pissed off, and I think we may surprise some people.
All right.
Yeah.
Superfan.
I think this is going to be a close one. Just because I think, like Ben said, maybe Calgary's a little overconfident in that game. And if Bowman does come back, I think that could be a real difference maker on that offense. Regardless of how he is, they're going to have to game plan for him.
Sure.
And that's going to be opening things for Duke Williams, opening things for Bryant Mitchell, opening things for if Hazelton's back.
Yeah.
And, of course, Brandon Zylstra. So, not to mention some of these Canadian guys that are out there. So, I think that Edmonton might take this one, and it wouldn't really surprise me. So, I'll take Edmonton.
Wow. I am impressed.
You're also realistic.
Not me. Yeah, I'm picking Calgary. I hate to do it, especially when I'm going to be there. And it's one of those times where I really want to be wrong and pick them, and that's fine. Just blow out my confidence. I don't care. I want to be down in the bottom of the league if the Eskimos find a way to win. But I'm picking Calgary to win this one.
How much confidence?
Absolutely zero.
Not a boy.
Yeah, that way then I will probably end up with 0 points. That's fine by me. Yeah. All right, so let's talk about fantasy really quickly. Ben, are you playing the CFL Fantasy?
Yeah, I am
Excellent.
Yeah.
In our league right now, we've got the leader is N Hodge, then DK_22, and then Empire Andrew.
Look at that.
Who's your guy you want to pick this week in fantasy?
I've been on the Perkins train for pretty much since he started.
Yeah, cheap starter.
Yeah, exactly. Right, I might go Mike Riley this week just because I rarely pick him. He's so expensive, but I still do feel like he's gonna have a bounce back game. So he might be worth the extra dollars this week, I think.
Okay. Super fan. You got somebody you're picking?
Yeah, I'm picking Devere Posey this week. I think he's a second game back. I think he's going to do well against that Hamilton team. And I think he could rack up some yards, especially with Ricky Ray tossing him. He's a lower priced guy. Yeah. I mean, he's certainly cheaper than SJ Green, so I think he could be a great value pick.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was actually going to say this might be the week that I put in some Ricky Ray into my lineup, because I have a feeling that it's a questionable defense he might be playing against, and he's still got a pretty good arm. So let's see how that goes. Of course, unless that Hamilton line decides to get upset and come through. But you might have put some Ricky in there. Yeah. Maybe a Ricky Posey combination might add up a few points for you there. All right, join us in the Eskimo Empire Pod League. Of course, the Canadian Football Podcast Network League. You can compete against all your favorite podcasters, and we have a lot of fun there. So, all right, thank you, gentlemen. This has been a lot of fun. Ben, I hope you had a good time, and so glad you could come down and be part of it. Where does everybody find you online or any of those social media channels?
I'm mainly on Esks Fans.
Okay.
I don't have Twitter. I do have Facebook, but I look at it rarely.
All right, fair. No, that's fair.
So who are you on Esks Fans?
So on Esks Fans, I am Ben the Eskimo. Not the greatest moniker,
but
that's that is what it is. That's who I am. I'm on there every day. I love to chat. So yeah, absolutely hit me up.
Okay,
perfect.
Yeah.
Outstanding. Superfan.
Well, on Esks Fans, I am 56 Parkies. On Twitter, I'm 56 Parkies.
Wow, consistency.
I know. And for the history, of course, it's at Esks History.
Wonderful. And you can find us at Esk Empire Pod, and of course me at Freepalicious. Make sure you find us on all of the social channels, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and of course our Patreon page. And extra shouts out as usual to our Hall of Famers, Jedi, Hippie, Bill, Joe, and Brazilian Ty. The show will be back next week. We are going to race back from the game, do a Periscope, and record a show, and quite likely we'll be joined by one of those Hall of Famers for that show.
Oh,
just
exciting.
for fun. Yes. So can the D-line step up and get pressure on Bo Levi? Absolutely. Will Riley bounce back and get on track with these receivers? Absolutely. And are we ready to show Calgary we aren't going down without a fight? Absolutely. For Ben, Webmistress Kayla, and Superfan Mike, I'm Andrew. Remember, you can't catch footballs with your face, and we will absolutely talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening. Find more great shows like this at CF Pod Network on Twitter.